Good morning and welcome to Gospel Bytes, where we take a bite at the Gospel for the day. Today is Sunday, September 8th. It's the birthday of the Blessed Virgin Mary. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. This is taken from Mark chapter 7, verses 31 to 37. Again, Jesus left the district of Tyre and went by way of Sidon to the Sea of Galilee, into the district of the Decapolis. And people brought to him a deaf man who had a speech impediment, and begged him to lay his hand on him. He took him off by himself away from the crowd. He put his finger into the man's ears, and spitting, touched his tongue. Then he looked up to heaven and groaned, and said to him, Ephphatha, that is, be opened. And immediately the man's ears were opened. His speech impediment was removed, and he spoke plainly. He ordered them not to tell anyone, but the more he ordered them not to, the more they proclaimed it. They were exceedingly astonished, and they said, He has done all things well. He makes the deaf hear, and the mute speak. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so the Jews believe that the Messiah, one of the signs of the Messiah is that he is going to heal the deaf. He's going to make the deaf hear and the mute speak. And this is precisely what Jesus did. Oftentimes when you're deaf, since you cannot hear your voice, you stop talking as well. You become mute as well. Or you have a speech impediment. You stutter because you don't hear what you're saying. And deafness is one of the most terrible handicaps that a person can have. It's just like watching television and you turn off the volume. You see them laughing, but you cannot understand. You cannot laugh with them. You see them crying, but you cannot share the drama or the emotions because you don't know why they're crying. So there's a certain deprivation of feelings. Unlike the blind and the mute or even the crippled, when they can hear, they can listen to music, and they're just listening to music could uplift your soul, but not so with a deaf man. They cannot share those feelings or emotions, and so it is a harsh handicap. And normally we have things for other handicaps. For the blind we have dogs. For the mute, they can write. For the lame, they have their own parking. But for the deaf, yes, we have the subtitles, and we have some people signing on the side. But that's very seldom. That's very rare. And if ever that happens, still people get mad at them because they said you should at least learn how to lip read. We treat them as if they could just snap out of that handicap. Oh, you can do that. No, we don't really see them as handicapped because it's not as obvious as the others. And I think that's the worst part of that. Worst part of the handicap is that people expect you to act normal. Just imagine how you would react to your grandmother or your grandfather or your parents if you have to repeat what you're saying more than twice. You said something and they would say, well, what did you say again? And you yell and yell and they still won't hear. You would just say, never mind. And you stop talking to them. The communication is cut. They're cut off from whatever is happening around them because nobody wants to talk to them anymore. And you think that, well, if I'm going to repeat everything I'm going to say, I might as well not talk to you. Or sometimes we even talk about them right in front of them. That's okay. They won't hear us anyway. They're deaf, so they won't hear us anyway. And even at church, people who have a hearing aid, when they say, oh, it's ringing, and nobody really minds them. Yeah, and I think you can just turn it off, and somebody else will tell them what we talked about or what was going on. Just imagine the isolation of them feeling outcast, feeling isolated from communications, from the conversations, and from the feelings around them. In a spiritual life, deafness, spiritually deaf, would be someone who is stubborn. Huh? Well, two kinds. There are people who are so preoccupied with many things, with the noise from our cell phones, from our work, from our entertainment. We cannot hear the voice of God anymore. We cannot hear what He's telling us. He's guiding us to the right path, and we cannot hear because we're so busy with so many things. But also, second is the stubbornness of the heart. Yeah? When you have God telling you, don't do this, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, honor your father and mother, remember to keep holy the Sabbath day. And you say, no, I don't want to hear that. No, I'm spiritual. I believe in God, but I don't like commandments. I don't want anyone telling me what to do. So there's a stubbornness, a deafness that we cannot hear God anymore. It's like your parents were telling you, okay, you don't do this, don't ruin your life. This will kill you. If they're talking about addictions or vices or immorality, we don't want to listen to them. Yeah. I remember my pastor when I was a deacon. I was busy with many things, and I was typing the bulletin, I think. And he realized I wasn't listening. He was still talking to me, and he realized I wasn't listening. And he said, yeah, and then I took a knife and I slashed my wrist, my arm, and then there was blood all over me, and I died, and they buried me. And I was just still typing. I said, yes, okay. Then I stopped. I said, what did you say? So sometimes we could be distracted by so many things that we don't get to listen, or we're so stubborn that even if God is telling us do this, we still don't want to do it. That's you might say it's our choice to be deaf. And Jesus was very patient with this man, and he healed the deaf. Shouldn't we be patient with them as well? We have your children. Sometimes your children don't want to listen to you, and they persist in their ways. And I guess now you feel how God is feeling when He created us, and His creatures don't want to listen to Him. It's just like the parents who made us in their image, and they pretend, the children pretend as if we don't exist. So it's very important that we be patient with those who are spiritually deaf, and that's the same thing. We cut them off and say they're not going to listen anyway. They're not going to change. I'm not going to tell my children to go to mass anymore. They'll never change. We give up on them because they're deaf. We treat them like as if they're normal, as if it's easy for them to just snap out of it. We were once like them, and God was patient with us. We should be patient with them. So maybe if we were kinder, we were more patient, we were more encouraging, maybe they would listen. Instead of just judging, instead of just yelling, instead of threatening them, just be patient with them. Show them that you care. Perhaps they will listen. That's what Jesus did with us. We did listen. So let's try that with one another. Be patient and be kind. And then let's listen to each other. I'm Father Jerry Sembrano for another edition of Gospel Bytes. God bless you. Have a nice day.